Hello, everyone. Robbie Durling here. You're tuning into On Campus, Episode 2. Today, I sit down with Jeff Tremblay. He's a St. Clair College alumni graduating from the Law and Security program and currently a Windsor Police Constable. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Good, Robbie. Nice to see you again. I know we met before, but officially doing very well. Thank you for inviting me today.
Well, yeah, of course. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I guess we'll jump right into
Sure.
it. Um, you graduated from the Law and Security program, but after high school, initially coming to St. Clair, you were in general arts and science. What made you pick that program initially, and then ultimately led to the switch into law and security?
Yeah, so it actually comes down to my grade 12 year in high school. Knew I was coming to college, but I was sitting with my guidance counselor, and I initially had applied for the ambulance and emergency care program.
Okay.
So at that time, I had gotten to number 11 on the list. So I didn't make that program, but at the same time, there was this they had just brand new started the general arts and science program. And the intent of that program was instead of going back to college for another year to upgrade your marks, you could take this course at St. Clair College, which allowed you to do the same thing, upgrade your marks to allow you to get into that program,
Okay.
but it also gave you college credit.
Ah,
So you were earning already because you were in the college already. So they gave you that added credit as you were applying for the next for that program again. So I applied to the program. I got into the general arts and science program, so I decided to take it. And then when I came to St. Clair, I had played varsity basketball that first year,
okay.
and I had met the collegiate coordinator, Mr. Bob Weepers, God rest his soul. So during that time frame, I had applied again to ambulance and emergency care program, got to number 1 on the waiting list. So I
There you
didn't
go.
didn't didn't quite make it again, but Mr. Weepers had approached me and says, "Listen, I have a spot for you in the law and security program. I can guarantee you get into that program. Are you interested in taking it?" And not knowing what would happen, I'm like, well, I didn't want to not stay at the college and wait another year and not go to school. I didn't know if I'd come back or not. So I said, absolutely. If you can get me into this program, I'd be happy to take it. Hence where I am now.
Yeah.
uh, so I kind of owe my career to Mr. Weepers because once I got into that program, and it allowed me to continue playing basketball for the college as well, because I didn't want to not take a chance of, okay, I may not make it again the next year if I have to take a year off or not come back. So that's basically how I got into the general arts and science program, which led me into the law and security program instead of the ambulance and emergency care program.
I see. So you're still able to play basketball and continue your time here at the college.
Exactly.
And for the law and security, what are kind of the key takeaways and experiences within that program that you had?
Back then, I don't know how it is now. I know they've changed the program name. I think it's Border Security Investigations or whatever, or Protection Investigations, whatever it is now. But back then, we were taught by people in the field. So one of the beneficiaries of having that done were, like, for example, I had a sergeant who was just freshly promoted to a sergeant who was teaching the federal stats programs at the college, Mr. Pickford and Mr. Arsenal. And when I applied for the police 10 years later, by the time they were hiring again, Mr. Pickford was now in charge of professional advancement,
There you go.
and he was doing the hiring for the
Yeah.
service. So when I went for my interview, he remembered my face, remembered me a little bit. So it just gave me that little added advantage going through the policing process to be hired.
Oh, wow.
So, and even when I took the customs portion of that, um, the program, so that was the first year was customs, and it just kind of introduced you into certain things. It was only a 2-year program back then. Now I believe it's a 3-year program. But one of the customs people advised us that they have a summer student program. So I had applied for the summer student program, and lo and behold, the person who interviewed me was one of my teachers from the college.
Oh, wow.
So it gave me that advantage, and I ended up getting hired that summer as a summer student with custom, which was kind of the catalyst which started my various professional journeys into the career of policing. So
I see. And I guess to jump into your
sure,
professional career a little bit, you were hired in 2002 with the Windsor
yes,
Police.
2002, yes.
And You've been with the police ever since?
Ever since. I mean, I just started my 24th year. I'm currently in my 24th year. Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you very much.
And you've worked with various different units within the Windsor Police. What are some of those units that you've worked with?
So I started in patrol. So I came on in 2002 as a cadet. I was a cadet for 9 months. Then I got sent to the Ontario Police College in Elmer in September of that year. I graduated in December. I came back with still basic. I wasn't a cadet. I was a fourth class constable. But once in February, I started my 3 months of training with a coach officer. Then once I passed my coach officer training, I rode the bikes downtown for 3 years. That's kind of how they integrate new police officers into policing.
Okay.
You start policing the downtown core on the bicycles and walking during the cold weather. And then I did that for 3 years, and then I started to bounce around with different people once I got enough seniority in. So once people were on vacation or had days off, you would work with different people that had steady car partners. You would bounce in with them. So I did that for probably 4 or 5 years, and then once I got to first class constable, I got into a car full time, and they sent me out to the East End. I spent 4 years in the East End. Takes me to about my 7 year mark on the job, and then an opportunity came out for a position with the explosive disposal unit. So I applied for a position. I had an interview. I was one of the most senior people that had applied for it. You had to be a minimum of a first class constable at the time. So I think I was about a year or two past first class at that point, but I was also in the promotional system. And the chief at the time wanted somebody who was in the promotional system to be selected to this unit. And fortunately, I was the only one out of the 7 people that applied that was in the promotional system. So they put me through a rigorous physical in the bomb suit. We had to do an obstacle course on the bomb suit and make sure that you could mentally and physically do the job. And then once I passed that, within a couple of weeks, they gave me the call, and it was a serious position they take because they send you to the Canadian Police College in Ottawa for a 5-week basic training course. And because of all the training they give you with the explosive disposal unit, they want you to do a minimum of 10 years on the unit.
Oh, I see.
But the problem with that is you're tied to patrol, so you can't apply to any other, because it's only a part-time unit.
Okay.
So you're still in patrol full-time, but you answer bomb calls and you do suspicious package calls. So it's a part-time unit. We train twice a month. And then usually May or so, they have a 1 long week training program that you got to do every year to recertify. And so I spent 11 years on that unit. I just came off it in 2019. So I spent from 2008 to 2019. And the reason I came off the unit was because I took another position in community services. It was a steady day position, weekends off. And I stayed for about an extra year on the bomb unit while I was in that position, but they kept trying to call me to do calls.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of teaching a class.
Mm.
So my supervisor basically said, well, you make the decision. You can either stay or you have to, give up community services. So it was a new thing that I wanted to try out. So I gave up the bomb unit. I did my time on there, 11 years. So so I put my resignation in and decided to move on with the rest of my career. So
I see. And currently you're doing tap frauds in the fraud unit, and then you're also the manager of all the PPE for the entire department?
So once COVID hit in 2020, I was still in community services, but because the schools were closed down and so they had taken community services and shut that program down, and they put everybody back into patrol. So my boss on the explosive disposal unit, I'm also trained in CBRNE, which is chemical, biological, radio, nuclear, and explosives.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trained in all the proper military style personal protective equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So because we were just implementing that during COVID for all the officers, and I was working steady days, weekends off at that point because I was still attached to community services, my boss went to the superintendent and asked that I come back to the unit to assist because I was trained in all the equipment. So that kind of evolved into, or I should say morphed into more of a full-time thing. So I did, because COVID was around for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I was constantly, every year, refreshing people and getting them trained again. Um, so I stayed with that, and then um, I had an opportunity. There was somebody leaving the fraud department that was doing the tap frauds, and it was an accommodated position, and I'm accommodated because I have a medical issue now. Um, so what happened was I put in for it, and they asked me if I wanted to try it. So I went up there, and I think it was 2023 on a trial basis, and I just not that I'm great at it, but I really enjoyed the investigative portion of the job that I never had prior in my career. And Sergeant Durling is an excellent boss to work for. And so I'm just kind of, this is, for right now in my career, it's the perfect spot for me to be in. So I'm doing that most of the time, but now that 2026 hit, we're a year out date on the masks, so they pulled me back out of that unit for 4 months to get everybody retrained on the masks again.
Okay.
Once they're retrained, everybody's up to date. They get all their new filters because all the filters are expired. So once I get everybody up to par and we're good to go, I'll go back to. Hopefully, they'll send me back to that unit and continue what I was doing when I first started up there.
And I guess because you've worked in so many different roles within the Windsor Police, what would you say for you personally, where it's like most special to you, or where you think you've been able to make the most impact? What would that be?
Where I think I was able to make the most impact was I really enjoyed the 2 years I spent in community services. My time there got cut short by COVID, and then because of the PPE, they didn't want me going back.
Yeah.
So they kept me out of there. So I lost 3 years of time, but I took that experience as okay. But the nice part was I was dealing with the community at that point. So I was stationed at the safety village, and I was teaching JKSK grade twos and grade fours road safety. So it was just nice to come in and deal with the public. So I was dealing with kids, teaching kids, dealing with parents, dealing with teachers. So it was a little bit away from the investigative and policing aspect of things. So it was a nice change of pace for the 2 years, and it was just nice to be in a fresh building and dealing with like the executive director, Melissa Lozon of the safety village, and dealing with the civilian aspect of it. So we worked with Windsor Fire in there. Windsor Fire took the grade ones, threes, and fives. I had the JKSKs, grade twos and fours, and we combined everything as they would come in and kind of work together. Kind of joke, I had some co-op students out there, and I put them in the Elmer suit, and they'd go up and they'd do the puppet show for the JKSKs. But
Yeah.
it was a fun experience for me. Probably the best thing I take away from it. Training wise, explosive disposal unit, hand down. Just the amount of training that you get, like the normal patrol person doesn't get that training, and normal public don't get that type of training, right? So
Yeah.
it's not something I can use with me, unfortunately, when I retire, because it has to, unless I was to go military route, but I'm not going to do that at 60 years old, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I said, just the training, the courses I've gotten, and it was all paid for through the service, right? So,
Oh, that's
very,
nice.
yeah, just very fortunate to get the training I've got. So,
Most definitely. And I guess maybe if someone is looking to get into a career in law enforcement, what advice or insight would you give them?
um, it's hard to say nowadays because they're actually having a hard time getting recruitments now for law enforcement people.
Okay.
Uh, the money is very tempting, but this job is not for the money, right? Like you want to go into public service, like you want
Yeah.
to go in serving the public, helping people. Um, but there's so many different routes to do that. Um, Biggest thing is you have to, be a Canadian citizen. Obviously, you have to be minimum 18 years of old, 18 years of age. You have to be able to have a driver's license, an Ontario driver's license. So there's certain basic things you need to do, but without a minimum of a 4-year post-secondary education, whether that be in community college or university, like nowadays, they won't even look at people without that. That's kind of like used to be grade 12 was the bare
Yeah.
minimum. Now you're looking at minimum 3 to 4 years post secondary, whether it be like college or university. If you have that and you're interested in it, my biggest suggestion is to call Sergeant Rob Howlett at the Community Services Branch, and they do all the recruitment sessions. And they would be able to say, listen, this is what we're looking for. If you'd like to come in and talk to us, or go on the website or Windsor Police website, and they usually have recruitment information, and it'll show if they're having like an information session somewhere throughout the community. They usually do it 3 or 4 times a year. Well, they'll go out in the community and they'll have it's kind of a resource session. You can just go out and get a pamphlet or talk to somebody with what they do, about the job, if they think it's for them, if they don't think it's for them, but you got to be you have to have a good personality to deal with people, and you got to want to be able to serve the public. That's the two main really issues to start this career.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And those information sessions, people will definitely be able to kind of say, hey, is this for me?
Yeah, they do it once in a while. Like I know they've done some here at St. Clair College. They've done some at the university. And they'll do some usually at our training branch. They'll set up a session at night where it's a walkthrough, and you can come and see the different units that we do, like our canine, our explosive disposal unit, our emergency services unit, like the community services branch, and they'll do little demonstrations. And like, is this for you, or if it's not for you, right? So it's just a good way, but it's something you want to start, like, because some people get to college and don't know what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's maybe not till they've had that interaction with a police officer or a firefighter, or maybe I'd like to go this route, right? So yeah, so it's good to get that information, and because some guys don't realize it, or they're on their second, third career, that I've realized. I worked with a guy that did a shadow in our fraud department. He was a plumber for 20 years and just didn't want to do it anymore. So decided at 40 to make a career change, and this is the career change he chose. So, and great for him. This is what he wants to do. Only problem is a little later in life, you know what I mean? You're going to have to stay a little longer for, to earn your full pension and stuff like that. But that's all stuff that, it's a personal decision for people to make, and, they can go from there with that, right? So,
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate your insight into law enforcement. And once again, thanks for coming.
No, thank you very much for having me. Pleasure.